Later, she would be unable to recall the words she shouted as she left the hall, though she would be able to remember every insult thrown after her, every derogatory comment made about her boy. She would not remember how she made it home, but she would remember her knees buckling as she closed the door behind her. She would be unable to say how long she sat there crying, her heart breaking, but she would recall that the room was dark by the time she found the strength to stand. What she would have no trouble remembering was her sense of shame. Not for her boy. She was ashamed of herself, for not fighting harder, for not arguing better, for allowing them to win. She would forever be ashamed of letting him down. And whenever she had reason to reflect on that day, she would ask herself, what kind of mother fails her child the way I failed my son? And her heart would break once more. Prologue, September 1920. It is Ida Stilwell who opens the door. Her surprise, which she makes no attempt to mask, clearly indicates she has been expecting someone else. Her bud-like mouth forms a perfect O, a delicate breath giving voice to the exclamation. As it is, a man occupies her doorstep, a tall, broad man sporting a brown bowler hat and dressed in a mackintosh, with a worn suit lurking underneath, a spot of breakfast surreptitiously lingering just below the knot of his tie. He dips his head, then removes his hat, exposing a generous sweep of silver hair, wiry but neatly clipped at the sides. He holds the bowler before him, in meaty fingers tinged with nicotine, and whilst those hands might have looked more at home on a manual labourer, there is nothing about this man to suggest he toils for a living. He smiles, exposing comfortingly crooked teeth, greying where they disappear into his gums.
Mrs. Stilwell?
His voice is low and oddly melodic, with a gravelly undertone, but there is another note, hidden deep within the ensemble, that appears to put Ida on her guard. Yes. She draws herself up an extra inch or two, lifting her chin with intent, like an animal attempting to look imposing in the face of danger.
I am so sorry to call unannounced like this.
He reaches into the gully of the mackintosh and delves into the inside pocket of his suit jacket.
But I was wondering...
He pauses, issuing a flash of a smile as he pulls out a small leather case, which he flicks open for her perusal.
Whether I might just take a few minutes of your time.
The policeman, an inspector no less, seems to fill the small lobby. The joyless gloom of the beamed vestibule ensures his expression is wreathed in shadows, though the bulk of him remains plain to see, solid and straight in his buff coat. Ida's bemused smile falters as he expresses his need to speak to the entire household, but she quickly resumes the role of gracious chatelaine. Won't you come through? She leads him across the red and black quarry-tiled floor. He is forced to duck under the low lintel that takes them into the reception hall. He notices how she appears emboldened once they have crossed the threshold, as if somehow the grandeur of their new surroundings inspires her to confidence. He pauses to admire the 17th century hall, lined with panelling that gleams like chestnuts fresh from their casings. The morning sunshine beams through the criss-crossed leading of its large windows to cast 1,000 diamonds across the ancient checkerboard flags of slate grey and pale dove. But the most impressive attribute of the room is the fireplace, a floor-to-ceiling rock face of carved stone, emblazoned with a family shield, guarded by 2 heraldic figures standing either side. The sizable grate occupying the yawning cavern at its base contains the charred remnants of what he takes to be the previous night's fire, the thick bed of ash underneath, still waiting to be cleared away. The sight momentarily draws Ida's attention, and though she makes no comment, the fleeting dip in her neatly plucked brows suggests she is disappointed he has not been met by a hearty blaze. The room is undeniably imposing, but it is also cold and uncomfortable, and the smell of soot hangs...